Can't possibly be your fault, though.
Yes.
Steve, you're muted.
Sorry, I hit the wrong button before and I disappeared. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Good, okay. All right, are we ready? Are you ready, Derek?
Yes, sir.
Claudia?
Yes, I'm ready.
Good, okay. All right, let's begin. This is the regular meeting of the Princeton Zoning Board of Adjustment being held electronically via Zoom on March 24th, 2021 at 7:30 PM. Pursuant to Section 13 of the Opens Public Meetings Act, adequate notice of the time and place of this meeting has been given by prominently posting the sunshine notice of the Princeton Zoning Board of Adjustment. Such notice has been placed on the official bulletin board at the municipal complex and by transmitting a copy of the notice to the Princeton Packet, Town Topics, The Times, Trentonian, and by filing a copy with the clerk of Princeton on March 19th, 2021, and has been posted on the municipal website, www.princetonnj.gov. Pursuant to Executive Order 107, due to the state of emergency in New Jersey regarding COVID-19 coronavirus, notice that during the declared state of emergency, all regular and special meetings of the Princeton Zoning Board of Adjustment will be held electronically via Zoom, was transmitted to the Princeton Packet, Town Topics, and The Times, and was filed with the clerk of Princeton on the 24th day of April 2020. Such notices have been placed on the official bulletin board at the municipal complex and on the Princeton website, and are to be maintained throughout the year, and by transmitting a copy of same to the Princeton Packet, Town Topics, The Times, Trentonian, Comcast Media, and by filing a copy thereof with the clerk of Princeton. Notices have been placed on all window doors of the municipal complex. Okay. Claudia, can you read the roll?
Ms. Coulson,
Here,
Savage,
Here.
Boy,
Here.
Shriver,
Here.
Mr. Tannenbaum,
Here.
Mr. Valvanis, Chen,
Here.
Stein,
Up here.
Mr. Cohen.
Here. Okay. The first item on our agenda are the minutes of August 26, 2020. They were distributed in your packets, which came by email. Has everyone had an opportunity to review the minutes? And if so, are there any questions? And if not, if somebody would like to make a motion.
I'll move that we accept the minutes.
Second.
Coulson,
Yes.
Boy,
Yes.
Shriver,
Yes.
Tannenbaum,
Yes.
Chen,
Yes.
Chairman Cohen.
Yes. Okay, we have two resolutions. I guess Karen, Derek, do you want to do those now or do you want to hold those till the end?
Initially, we had said we would do them later on. Christopher, are you available now or?
I am here.
I guess we can go ahead and try them, Steve.
Okay, all right. Well, on our agenda, the first one is 77 Jefferson. Okay, again, they were in your packets. And if anyone has any questions, revisions, comments, or if someone would like to make a motion.
I'll move to accept.
Second, Stephen Schreiber.
Olson,
Yes.
Mrs. Shriver,
Yes.
Harlan,
Yep.
Ms. Chen,
Yes.
Stein, George,
Stein? Yes.
Chairman Cohen.
Yes,
Thank you.
okay. The next one, as soon as I can bring it up here, is 20 Nassau Street. Just hang on one second, please. Okay, this is case number Z 2020-828, 20 Nassau Street, block 19.02, lot 17, 18, 19, and 20. So we have a resolution that Karen's prepared and I believe distributed, definitely distributed, and it's kind of lengthy. Does anyone have any questions on it or comments?
Board members, this is the revised version, which was distributed to you. So my understanding is we have confirmation everybody got it, but if somebody didn't, please let us know.
The revised version was sent out late yesterday, I believe,
Says-
right, Karen?
Yeah, at the footer on each page says second revised highlighted
Right.
3/23/21.
Am I permitted to ask a question about a condition having to do with the garage, or should I save that for later?
No, if you're.
You
if
mean
it's
a condition on this resolution?
It's not in writing, it's not written here anywhere, and it's just a question I have, so, I
Well,
mean,
if you should ask, I mean, if it's something that you think maybe should be added, or this would be the time to ask, I think.
I just wondered if there are any charging stations for the cars. I thought that maybe that was brought up, but I did a quick look through this and I didn't see it, so I
Oh,
just.
that's actually a good question. Hold on a minute.
But I think
Um,
that's in the I think that's in the resolution.
Yeah.
And it was certainly in the plans.
And it's referenced, I believe, through one of the reports, which is one of the conditions, maybe in SCRAB, where we are putting a 2 initially,
Yeah,
and that there will be conduits available so we could expand as the need arises, I think at least up to 8, which was the recommendation that SCRAB made.
Great.
actually, that's a good question, Eve, because I thought it was in there. It was
Well, I might have missed it.
no, I don't see it in the conditions, so we can
Well,
add
it's in,
that. Hang on one sec. We had talked, let me just see, in the findings, hold on.
I remember seeing it somewhere.
it
Oh,
was
I
in,
think
it was
It's
in
the
the,
findings.
there was a comment, I believe, by Mr. Jacquemart. And I think it was in, let's see, I circled it here, actually.
Oh, it's on page 11? It
Yeah.
was me.
Yeah,
So-
it is, but I thought that it made an appearance again in the findings. So I'm looking, starting on page,
Yeah, I see it.
20.
It was actually in the original one. It was on page 10.
Well, that's testimony, but it's a
Yes.
good point, Eve, because I thought it had made its way into the findings. Okay, so in the conditions, then, we can certainly add that. Let me just go back to the testimony. So it was, okay, so we can add that. The applicant is going to add 2 charging stations and will provide infrastructure to allow for future expansion that can accommodate the 8 stations which were recommended by the Environmental Commission. So if that addresses your concern, it is consistent with the testimony.
I'm glad to hear that.
Okay. So we can add that.
I wouldn't know how to think when or how anybody would decide that it was important to expand it. I don't have a recommendation for that, but
Well, I think the applicant would find that it would be almost a market-driven type of situation where if people came in with electric cars, I'm sure they would welcome the opportunity to
Right.
charge and comment if they couldn't.
I think it would actually, but just from just someone asking me the other day about it, actually, and because I said, hey, guess what, there's going to be a garage, and they said, what about charging? Oh, that'd be great. Are they going to have a charging station? And so that could well be, a plus. People could see that as a great thing that you'd be providing rather than a pain in the neck, so to speak. So, So, great. I'm glad. Thank
Good
you.
point. Good point, Eve.
Good catch.
Okay, are there any other comments? Okay, would someone like to make a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the findings, facts
A
for
second.
29.
Second?
I second. James
Okay.
Davish, second.
Claudia?
Colson,
Yes.
Davidge,
Yes.
Boyd,
Yes,
Shriver,
yes,
Tannenbaum,
Yes.
Chairman Cohen.
Yes. Okay.
I just want to thank everyone and Karen, especially you, for putting that all together. It was a very detailed resolution. So thanks to the board and to the staff as well. Have a good evening.
Claudia, I just want to make sure we got everybody, right? Everyone who was at the meeting on the 8th.
Well, Ms. Chen and Mr. Stein did not vote. at
Correct,
that
but
meeting.
then we need 7. So you have 7 board members, correct? It may be that I didn't hear one vote, but
I heard 6. Was Nick Valvan at the meeting?
he was, but he's not here tonight.
He's not
Correct.
here today.
Got it. Okay.
Great.
Done.
Okay,
Christopher?
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
you're welcome.
You have to bear with me for a second. I have misplaced a file. Okay. Excuse me one sec. I incorrectly filed something here and I'm trying to get back to it. All right, well, I'll get to it. Our first hearing is for 8 Florence Lane, and unfortunately, I don't have it in front of me, so I don't know the case number. I can find it here in a moment, but if Claudia, can you give us the case number and the lot and block number?
I have it.
Okay, go
Okay.
ahead.
It's case Z 21-014. It's block 6705, lot 19, R2 zone cluster, it says. The Glen.
Okay. All right. Derek, would you give us a summary of your memo?
Yes, sir. Thank you. Good
Oh, wait,
evening.
one thing,
Roger.
excuse me, Karen, are
Yeah.
all the notices in order?
The noticing is in order. The board has jurisdiction, and I will swear you in for tonight. Derek, do you swear affirm your testimony this evening will be truthful?
Yes. I
Thank
do.
you.
Good evening. Thank you, Chairman. Eugene Galertner and Patricia Koch are the owners and applicants for 8 Florence Lane. They're seeking a floor area variance to permit the construction of a covered porch, an exception to ordinance requirements. Property is located in a cluster known as the Glen. It's in the overall R2 zone. The existing FAR is 17.3% and the maximum is 15%. The applicant is proposing to construct a 12 by 15 covered screen porch and a 2 by 3.5 foot radon chase. It's a total of 188 square feet. It will result in an increase of the FAR from 17.3% to 18.1. Again, the maximum is 15%. And I would just like to note that there's a few changes in the FAR that have adversely affected several cluster developments in town. I don't think the original FAR concerns that are currently in the ordinance now were adhered to until several years ago. And there have been numerous exemptions that were not permitted currently, that are not permitted currently, that were permitted previously, such as a garage exemption for 300 square feet. So just to give some background on why the FAR is where it is. So as you all know, it's a technical D variance. The applicant should show that the site can accommodate the additional FAR, and it requires an affirmative vote out of 5 of the 7 members. If you have any questions, I'd be glad to address them. Thanks.
All right, if you'd like to begin.
Mr. Galertner, we just need to swear you in. I know you're the applicant. Do you swear or affirm? You're muted, sir. Can you unmute yourself? There you go. Okay, yes. Do you swear or affirm your testimony this evening will be truthful?
I do.
Thank you.
I do. Thank you. My name is Gene Galertner. My wife, Patricia Koch, and I are the owners of the property at 8 Florence Lane. That's our residence. And as Mr. Bridger explained, we're applying for a D4 variance to construct the screen porch on our property. The porch would measure 12 feet by 15 feet, as Mr. Bridger said, and we'd also be constructing a 2 foot by 3 foot 6 inch chase for our radon system, so that the total square footage of the addition would be 188 square feet. As Mr. Bridger mentioned, the current FAR for the property is 17.3%, which exceeds the zone standard of 15. When the house was built, it was compliant with the zone standard, and it became non-compliant later because of ordinance changes. And the change in particular that affected our house, there's a significant portion of the house, the living room and the dining room, have a lofted ceiling. And as a result of ordinance changes, that portion of the house counts double for calculating FAR, and that brought the house to its current FAR of 17.3. When that portion of the house is counted once instead of twice for FAR, the FAR with the proposed addition would be 16.1%, which is close to the zone standard of 15. The reason we want to build the porch, it's particularly important for me because I have a medical history of skin cancer. I'm under the care of a dermatologist. I've been advised by my dermatologist to avoid excessive sun exposure. And having the porch would allow me to enjoy the property in ways that would be impossible without it. All of this has become more important for me within the last year because I've shifted from working 3/4 time to being almost completely retired. As a result, I'm spending a lot more time at home. Everybody's spending more time at home these days because of COVID, or a lot of people are anyway. But I'm going to be spending a lot of time at home because of my retirement, and adding the porch would increase my ability to fully enjoy my home in my retirement. I believe that the property could readily accommodate the increase in FAR without any detriment to our neighbors or to the streetscape. First of all, the size of the property is approximately 2.5 times the applicable zone standard of 10,000 feet. The setbacks for the property exceed the zone standard. The height of the porch would be much lower than the height of the house, and the height of the house is already below the zone standard of 30 feet. In addition to that, the porch would be built at the back of our house on the side of the house that faces Florence Lane. On that side of the house, there's a tall, dense yew hedge that's adjacent to the street, and the hedge would largely obstruct the view of the porch from the street. And for all of these reasons, I believe that the porch would have no significant visual effect on our neighbors and on the streetscape, and I believe that the porch would not cause any detriment to the public good, and it would certainly increase my ability to enjoy the property. As I noted in the appendix to our application, the board recently addressed closely similar issues in 2019 in granting a variance to one of our neighbors. Those neighbors are a family that live 2 houses away from ours in the Glen, and they applied for a D4 variance in 2019 to build a covered porch with a 17-foot by 22-foot roof. That's much bigger than the 12-foot by 15-foot porch that we want to build. In granting our neighbor's application for a variance, the board described the increase in FAR. There it was a 1.1% increase from 16.8 to 7.9. The board described that increase as a de minimis increase. The increase that we seek from 17.3 to 18.1 is a smaller increase. It's also de minimis. In granting our neighbor's application for variance, the board also found that our neighbor's lot size and setbacks exceeded the zone standards, as do ours. The board also found that the height of their house exceeded the proposed roof for the covered porch, and that the view of their porch would be obstructed by a fence. All the same factors that supported granting the variance in their case also support granting a variance for the smaller porch that we seek. I believe the property could readily accommodate the increase in FAR with no detriment to our neighbors. I'm happy to answer any questions the board may have if there are any.
Now, I have a question. The small element you want for the radon mitigation.
George, can you speak a little louder, please?
Yeah, I'm sorry. The small amount you want for the radon mitigation, have you detected above code radon?
No. The radon chase was built when we purchased the house in 1999. There was a radon issue, and we have a radon pipe extending from the house now. It would, under the proposed plan, it would be enclosed by this 2-foot by 3'6" enclosure.
Okay, and subsequent to your putting in the pipe, did you get the levels down to acceptable?
Yes.
Thank you.
Any other questions from the board? Okay, hearing no additional questions, I'd like to open this up to the public. For anyone in the public who'd like to comment on this application, please identify yourselves. Anybody? Eve, is there anyone out there or do you know?
I'm a little bit of, I don't know.
Well, you're in a
There
long
is
track.
nobody raised their hand.
Okay, very good. Thanks, Claudia. Okay, hearing no comment from the public, I'll close the public portion of the meeting and open it up to board discussion and the possibility of a motion.
I move we grant this variance.
Who was that? I'm sorry.
Stephen Schreiber.
I'll second. Michael Floyd.
Okay. Okay, no comment on the motion. So Claudia, please call the roll.
Olson,
Yes,
Davidge,
you're muted.
Mr. Davidge, I can't hear
Yes,
you.
I'm sorry, yes.
Shriver,
Yes.
Mr. Tannenbaum,
All right.
Yes. Yes.
Ms. Chen,
Yes.
Chairman Cohen.
Yes. Did you call George Stein? I missed that.
No, I already have 7 members.
Okay. All right.
Thank
Okay. All right. Well, thank you very much. Okay. Our next hearing is going to be 47 Westcott Road. And once again, I have our whole file somewhere in my computer and I can't find it. So Claudia, can you give us the case number and the lot and block number?
47 Westcott Road, block 3.01, lot 10, R1 in the former borough.
Okay.
And the case number is C21-008.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Karen, are the notices in order?
Yes, the noticing is in order. The board has jurisdiction tonight.
Okay. Okay, who would like to speak to this application?
I will, Mr. Chairman. This is Bob Rodolfi. I'm the attorney for the applicants, Peter Haberly and his wife, Marion Fricker.
Bob,
Okay.
before you continue, Steve, do you want Derek to review his memo?
I do, actually,
Okay.
excuse me.
Okay.
Thank you. Good evening. This application is for 47 Westcott Road. The applicants are Peter Haberly and Marion Frick. Owners and applicants, they are seeking a C1 variance to permit the construction of a 1.5-story addition featuring a one-car garage with living space above it. The garage does not meet the required 16-foot setback from the nearest portion of the front facade in the second floor. It violates the height to setback ratio requirement. Properties in the R1 zone in the former Princeton Borough. Subject lot is not complying with regard to the required 125-foot lot width. The existing lot width is 100. This house itself is not complying with the smaller side yard setback. The requirement's 10. The existing is 4.6 feet. This is the garage that's on the right side of the house. They plan to demolish that garage and build a garage on the left side of the house. And it's also not complying with regard to the height to setback for the existing garage. The requirement's 1 to 1.5. Existing is 2.26 to 1. And the applicant is proposing to demolish the existing sunroom on the western elevation of the subject property and construct a 1.5-story addition. The first floor will contain a 2-car garage, a mudroom, and a full bath. The second floor contains a master bathroom. Other improvements include the demolition of the non-complying single-car garage on the eastern elevation. And the project also includes an addition off of the existing kitchen and family room, as well as an in-ground pool, patios, and a second-floor deck. The proposed 1.5-story addition requires the following variances. For front-facing garage, the required setback is 16 feet. The proposed is 10 feet. The required height to setback ratio is 1.5 to 1, and the proposed is 1.74 to 1. The applicant has requested consideration under the C2 variance criteria, excuse me. If you have any questions, I'd be glad to address those.
Questions from
Derek,
the board?
Derek, I had a quick question. The variance then is needed for just one of the garages or both?
It's just one garage. The existing
Okay.
garage is getting demolished, and they're building a two-car garage in its place on the, so there's a garage on the, I guess, the eastern elevation, and that's being demolished, and they're proposing a new garage on the left-hand side, and the required.
West, yeah.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
I'm glad you asked that, Karen, because I thought I heard something about a one-car garage.
That's what I thought so too,
I
so,
did, I'm sorry, I misspoke, but.
Okay.
that's
got it. Okay.
Okay. All right, let's begin.
Okay to proceed, Mr. Chairman, members of the board, staff, good evening. Again, I'm Bob Rudolph, the attorney representing the applicants this evening on this application. Karen, do you want to swear everybody in or just the applicants at this point?
We can swear everybody in. We just need to identify everyone we're swearing in, so,
Sure, I have the applicants, Peter Haberly and his wife, Marion Fricker. I have
okay,
Jim Kyle, our planner,
right?
and Bill Giddings, the architect.
Okay. All right, everyone, if you would swear or affirm that your testimony this evening will be truthful.
I do.
Thank you.
Okay, before I begin, asking a few questions of the applicants, Claudia, could you upload the photograph that I sent you of the house from the street view? I think that'll help everybody see what the situation is.
And Bob, you want that as Exhibit A1?
That'd be fine, thank you.
Okay, great.
Oops, can we, there we go.
Okay.
All right, thank you very much. For the record, Peter or Marion, have you decided who's going to be answering my questions yet?
Probably Peter.
I'll jump in, but we can both speak. If,
Okay. Peter, you are one of, both of you are the applicants for this evening's hearing, correct?
That's correct.
All right. Just for the record, could you please identify what has been marked by the board attorney or the secretary as Exhibit A1? What does the photo depict?
That's the front of 47 Westcott Road in Princeton, where we currently reside with our three kids.
Okay. Now, you know, the old saying, a photo is worth 1,000 words. Your plan is to demolish the garage, which is located on the right side of the house as shown in the photo, and build a new two-car garage on the left side of the house. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. Can you give the board just a basic reason why you want to do what you want to do?
Yeah, so essentially we purchased this house because we love old houses. We love the neighborhood, we love the neighbors, and we've been here since 2012. And the house was in a state of neglect. We actually bought it at foreclosure, and it was in a state of neglect when we bought it. So we've been trying to fix it up. And it really is an original 1930s Center Hall Colonial with an original garage that was probably built for a Model T. And literally we have bicycles, we have kayaks, we have skis, we have lawn equipment, yard stuff. And it pretty much doesn't work as a garage, let alone being able to fit a vehicle in it. So that's the main reason to have a functional garage. And at the same time, with our family of 5, we currently have Jack and Jill bathrooms with our kids. If you look at the center window, the house, that's a Jack and Jill between our son's room and our master bedroom. And there's a captured bedroom behind ours where our daughter sleeps. So she actually has to go through our bedroom to get to her room. So we figured we'd try to, if we're building a garage, we'd try to have a master bath up above the garage and to be able to add, more functional bathroom space. The idea here is to essentially save this old house. It was, it was probably, could have been torn down and built to suit, but we'd like to save it. And that's kind of the thrust of what we're trying to do. We're trying to make it more modern for today's living and also preserve its character.
Okay. How many children do you have?
3,
And how old are they?
9, 11, and 13.
And they're obviously still at home living with you, correct? Okay. And just to repeat, the existing garage, you can't fit either of your cars in the garage as is, can you?
No.
No, you
Okay.
couldn't fit a Volkswagen Bug in there.
Okay. Have you worked with an architect, yes, to redesign the house, the additions that you want to employ here?
Yes.
All right. And did you feel, in your opinion, that you worked with the architect to minimize the extent of any variances, as I've explained them to you, in conjunction with your plans to renovate the house?
We have. Yeah.
Okay. You're also familiar with Mr. Derek's memorandum dated March 3, 2021, correct?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, good. And that's a fair summary of the issues as we see them.
Yeah.
Okay. You've already described the house, just sort of general. I'm going to have the architect go through the floor plan of the proposed house, but can you describe any other practical difficulties you have with the current configuration? What I'm leaning toward is the condition of the kitchen, the location of the kitchen, and the other living spaces. Does it really work for your family situation?
Yes, we essentially have an original 1930s kitchen, and it probably hasn't been touched since the house was built. We have, I mentioned the Jack and Jill bathrooms that we share with the kids, but it really is, hasn't really been touched much since 1930. The third floor has, very small rooms, so we're thinking of expanding space up there for the kids when they're teenagers. They probably want to migrate up there, but it really just needs a lot of work. It really was neglected, in a state of disrepair when we purchased it, and we've been gradually fixing it up. But this is the push to make it livable for longer term.
And you're willing to make a substantial investment to renovate the house to your needs, correct?
That's correct. Yeah, some people would call it a money pit.
I think we've all been there. Anything else you'd like to share to the board before we ask the chair if he has any questions, or any other member of the board has any questions of you? Okay. Mr. Chairman, any questions?
No, any board members have any questions at this point, or should we move on with the next witness? Okay, the next witness, please.
Okay, Bill, you with us?
Yes.
That's Bill Giddings. Bill, would you please tell the board, what your profession is?
I'm a licensed architect in the state of New Jersey and Pennsylvania.
And are you currently licensed in New Jersey?
Yes.
Okay, and how long have you been licensed as an architect?
27 years.
All right. Have you recently been qualified to testify as an architect before this board, or was it the planning board?
Not recently, before this board.
All right. Why don't you just make
We'll accept his credentials. That's fine.
Thank you, Mr. Cohen. So Bill, these plans in connection with this application were prepared under your direct supervision. That's both the floor plans and the elevations, correct?
Correct.
And you're familiar with the general neighborhood where the property is located?
Yes, I am.
And have you personally visited the property?
Yes, many times.
And have you taken the time to review Derek's memorandum dated March 3rd?
Yes, I have.
All right. And you're prepared to address the issues raised in his memo?
Yes.
Okay. What I'd like you to do, and Claudia, if you could, you want to start with the floor plans, Bill?
Sure.
Okay, Claudia, if you could upload the floor plans, the proposed floor plans, I should say.
Maybe if we could start with the existing floor plans first.
Whatever you feel, you're the architect. You tell me what you want to do.
Yeah,
With
the third page.
And you would like this collectively, A2?
I think A2 would work.
All right, great.
Karen, thank you.
Okay, yep.
The third page. Yes.
Okay, oh, yours, Bill.
Okay. Just to show you a little bit more in terms of what Peter was talking about. Started working with them. Boy, I think it's been at least 3 years ago, and coming up with a plan for the house. They've already have done some renovations, especially the front of the house, new slate roof, new siding, the new front porch. But we really did not do much to the inside yet. As they were saying, the inside of the house is pretty much untouched, which it has, beautiful rooms in terms of living rooms and bedrooms and dining room. However, the functionality of the house just doesn't meet today's needs. The laundry is in the basement. In the first floor, the kitchen is in the back right corner. As you can see, you come directly from the garage, which is not large enough for a car. As you can see, it's, I don't know the exact dimension, but it's probably 16 feet or so or less. You come directly into, there is no mudroom with kids. There's no place for everyone to come in, put their shoes, their coats. It all ends up in the kitchen. Yes, thank you. That helps. The eating area is in the center of the kitchen. It's not very, if you could go over to the right-hand top corner plan, that's the first floor. Great. The kitchen does not have a good layout in terms of a functioning kitchen. There's pantry cabinets on the lower left and bottom walls. The kitchen sink and stove tucked in the corner on the back wall, table in the middle of the room, refrigerator to the right, and then doors to the deck and to the existing garage to the upper right corner. There's a very small powder room tucked in, actually only has one sink, that's a cat error, tucked in underneath the landing of the staircase. Very, very tight, very low headroom height. You have to kind of tuck your knees in underneath the sink. It's just, not very functional at all. Very nice center hall, dining room, living room. Nice family room. However, it is very small. For the five of them to gather and watch a movie and all be in the same room at the same time. It's a small room. You put sofas and chairs in there. And then there's an existing sunroom, playroom to the left. That room would be demolished, and the garage would be built in its place. And the garage on the right-hand side would be completely demolished, which is only 5 feet off the property line. If you could go up to the existing second floor. So as Peter was describing, the existing bathrooms, the Jack and Jill bathrooms, with the old tubs, double functioning as a tub and shower, with the toilet sort of crammed in there, and a little sink in the corner. And that's the master bathrooms shared by the also by their kids' bedroom. Their walk-in closet is it's low ceiling height, tucked in underneath it's in the attic basically of the sunroom. It's a beautiful master bedroom, nice size space. But again, not a lot of closet space in the house, typical 1930s house. And then the third story is a habitable attic. You come up the stairs and there's a bedroom on one side and two smaller rooms on the right-hand side with a bathroom tucked into the corner, into the dormer, center dormer. Could we go to the next page? And I'll show you in plan what we're proposing. Basement really is just home office in the back corner of the addition underneath the kitchen. Proposed play area, TV area, basement for the kids, and it's an old basement, so this is not per se finished drywall type space. It's more of a painting the basement, so that an area for the kids to play and exercise. The next drawing, yes, perfect. So we're proposing a story and a half, 2-car garage on the left-hand side where the sunroom used to be. The front of the garage doors is approximately where the front of the sunroom was. It's just much wider for a 2-car garage. We're proposing a full-size bathroom in the back. They're looking to add a pool, so we've also put a shower in there and a real mudroom, so that when you come out of the garage or come out the back door from the patio, the dog and the kids, it's sort of a wet area basically. And then from that mudroom, you come into the family room. The family room we've extended so that they can comfortably sit in there as a family, but also because they lost the sunroom, we've extended the family room to have a little built-in bookcases with a window seat in the back, where a table could go for kids doing homework, and making a much smaller sort of sunroom that they lost when we took down the sunroom for the garage. The kitchen, making a new kitchen compatible to the size of the house and the existing rooms. A nice U-shaped kitchen with a center island and a eating area with doors out to the patio, and then between the kitchen and the dining room, a food pantry. Go to the second floor. So by doing the story and a half garage, we're able to just barely tuck in a master bedroom bath area with laundry, so that they don't have to go down to the basement, and his and her closet with a master bath that you would expect for this size house, with a standing shower separate from the tub. And then the front center bathroom that used to be the Jack and Jill is reorganized to be a real bathroom for the front corner bedroom. And then on the third floor, really the only change that we're doing is opening up some walls that were added over the years between the two bedrooms that were on the right-hand side, making them into one space. No additional space on the third floor. Could we go down to the proposed elevations? Next sheet. So looking at the front of the house, on the right-hand side, you can see the garage to be removed, dashed in, and how close it was to the property line. On the left-hand side, you can see the new garage. Several years ago, we built the front porch following the lines of the house and the existing arched center door and working that into the detail of the front of the porch. Taking those columns, putting those in front of the garage, soften the garage with an overhang so it looks more recessed in the shadow line. The dormers above are for the dressing area, laundry, bathroom area. So as you can see by this drawing, one of the variances is the setback of the corner of the roof. The first diagonal line you see is the variance that we are requesting, which is 1.74 to 1 ratio, as compared to the next solid line, which is the zoning ordinance 1.5 to 1 ratio. When we look at the side elevation, I'll explain more why that is. The thing I want to point out on that elevation real quick is you can see we're taking those setback lines perpendicular to the peak of the roof. The property slopes down. So from the street to the center of that peak, the property slopes down about 3.5 feet. So from the street line, this addition does not seem as tall or as, approaching the side property. It's more because of the way the property sets or drops back. Let me go down to so that is the right-hand east elevation, which just shows the old garage line that is being removed. And to the right of that is the kitchen expansion and kind of the new sunroom off the back of the family room we described. Go down to the west elevation, the left elevation. So this is the new garage in front of the old original house. As I said before, the front of the garage is set back the same as the existing sunroom. That's about 10 feet from the base of the front of the house, where your ordinance requires 16 feet setback for the garage. You do have an exception for the setback to be from the front of a front porch. If the front porch is 12 feet wide or 6 foot deep. When we built the front porch, we built it to the property line setback. So it's only 4.3 feet deep, so it does not comply. And we kept it more in proportion with the house. So it's approximately 10 feet wide as compared to the ordinance for that exception requires 12 feet wide. And then if we could go, also in this elevation, if you can zoom in a little bit. I don't know if you can see or not, but what we actually, when we were laying out the design, clearances are very tight. We kept the roof lines to match the roof lines of the original house. We also kept the roof lines within the existing roof eaves. And there's a dashed box there on the second floor right window, which is the door entry into the bedroom. So that door entry just barely clears the headroom height to get access from the master bedroom into this master bath area. So those the two reasons that we are requesting the variance is if we pushed it back any further, the roof of the garage would extend behind the roof of the house and would actually create a dammed area of water. And we have another diagram. I think we can show that a little bit more clearly later. And the other reason is to be able to get the roof lines to work to get access from the master bedroom into the master bath area.
Okay.
And then I'll show you the back elevation. So the garage addition with the mudroom and bathroom behind it is what you're looking at on the right-hand side, with windows from the master bath dormer above. What I'm calling the rear sunroom with the double columns on each side, mimicking the double columns in front of the garage with windows overlooking the backyard. And then to the left, the kitchen with French doors at the eating area, opening up the eating area to views of the backyard. And then the left windows, triple windows being the kitchen sink. We can, I don't know if you want to see the site plan.
Why don't we go to that exhibit which shows the roof lines with the 2 red arrows, just so they understand why the garage is where it is? Can we do that? Okay, we'll mark this as A3. Diagram showing the 16-foot garage setback from the front of the house.
So the red line,
Go ahead.
the red line shows if we push the entire garage back to the 16 feet required by the ordinance, where the arrow is is where the dam would be created in terms of water flowing down from the main roof and being caught by the new gable. The roof beyond is an existing gable in the opposite direction, perpendicular to the existing roof, and that's what would cause that dam. So we looked at many different designs over the last several years of where to put this garage, and we tried very, very hard to not require a variance. We looked at a garage underneath a rear patio, but there wasn't enough drop to get a car to in terms of the driveway to get down quickly enough with less than a 10% slope. So then we had a design where we actually drove all the way to the backyard, turned around and came into the back, garage doors underneath the patio. But then by the time we did that, the entire backyard was asphalt. So that's where we came back to this design, and in order, and I think the 2 variances are a result of the setback in terms of if we had the 125-foot wide lot, obviously we would not be requiring the setback. By putting the garage on this side, we're greatly improving the relationship of the house to the property on the right-hand side where we're demoing the existing garage. And then by requesting this variance for the setback, which is where the existing sunroom is, we can maintain the integrity and the design of the existing house and the roof lines, as well as functionally make it work.
Would it be fair to say that this project was a challenge for everybody involved?
Yes.
Okay, you want to move now to the site plan? You mentioned that.
Sure.
Talking about the survey or?
The second drawing of the drawing submission, the A2 exhibit.
Can I ask a question while we're waiting? Do we want the exhibit to be over?
Sure, go ahead, while we're waiting.
What is the current square footage and what will the new square footage be? Do you know, offhand?
Let's see. Drawing. The total FAR proposed will be 4,774 square feet out of the 20,000 square foot lot for a FAR of 23.87. And the existing FAR is, the existing square footage is 3,790 square feet. So,
Thank you. Thank you.
So this drawing shows the existing and proposed. As you can see by the contours, the lot slopes back to the rear of the yard, approximately 8 to 10 feet from front to back. They have engaged a landscape designer who's come up with a very nice plan. As I mentioned before, they do also want to do a pool that is shown here. This is the concept plan from the landscaper shown to provide screening and really transform the whole property. There's a patio off of the back, which is terraced down with landscaping as well. That patio is actually smaller than the existing patio and deck that's there now. In terms of the garage driveway, we have conformed to the design standards in terms of the width of the driveway off the street and the transition to the full width of the double driveway with the proper setbacks.
Now, the existing HVA mechanicals are visible from the street currently, are they not?
Yes, currently they're in front of the sunroom.
And can you point out to the board where the proposed location would be and why?
Yeah, so on the left-hand side of the proposed, we have proposing them back there, so they're less visible. We're also proposing a fence around there's a current fence on the left-hand side of the property and the right-hand side of the property. We were also going to, not shown on these plans, was to add another fence around these to screen these within the fenced area. And it's they're right behind the bathroom and mudroom area.
And are there plans to enclose the HVAC units?
Yes, with a solid fence.
Okay. Okay. Anything else you'd like to add, Bill?
No, I think that's everything.
Mr. Chairman?
I don't have any questions. Do any of the board members have any questions of the architect? Okay, let's move forward.
Right. Jim, next is Jim Kyle, our planner.
Good evening, everybody.
And Jim, what is your profession?
I am a licensed professional planner.
Are you currently licensed in the state of New Jersey?
I am.
Have you recently been qualified to testify as a planner before this board?
It's been a few months, but it was relatively recently.
No, I think we know Mr. Kyle, so that's
Thank you.
fine.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So, Jim, you're familiar with the plans
I am.
and you're familiar with the neighborhood,
Yes,
and you have personally visited the site in question,
I have.
and you are familiar with the town's land development ordinance as well as its master plan.
Yes,
Okay, and you've taken the time to review Derek's memorandum dated March 3 of this year.
I have.
Could you please then discuss the planning considerations as a result of your investigation with the board?
Sure. So as Bill had identified, there are really two variances that we're seeking based on the new construction. The first is the garage setback from the principal building facade. 16 feet is required. We're proposing 10. This comes out of the neighborhood design standards. And the second one is for the height to setback ratio. For the garage addition, 1 to 1.5 is required. We're proposing 1 to 1.74. So in terms of the garage setback from the principal building facade, I think this qualifies under the C1 criteria. So as was described by the applicant, this is really, their desire was to keep the majority of the house intact and respect the existing character of it, and then propose these additions. As Mr. Giddings said, we're really trying to work within the limitations of the existing dwelling. He described to you, I think, very well in terms of, lining up the door to gain access to the bathroom space above the garage. We also talked about, he also talked about the roof lines and the water issues. So I think it does present a practical difficulty in meeting this standard. Again, trying to work within the confines of the existing design of the house and trying to get those pieces to fit together. As Bill said, he did with the client, try to address these issues through the design, but couldn't really come up with any other way to propose a solution that would fit. So I think given the practical difficulty that's here, and again, we're dealing with a lot that is only 100 feet wide where 125 is typically required. We might have had some different design options available if we had some additional lot width. So I think it's all those factors really demonstrate a practical difficulty in meeting the requirement. I think in terms of the negative criteria, the 6-foot departure that we're proposing here won't have a substantial impact on surrounding properties. Visiting the neighborhood a couple of times, I've looked at what really is a variety of garage conditions on this street. So we have detached garages in the rear. We actually have one house across the street that has a detached garage that's in front of the principal structure. And then a little further to the west, there's a house with kind of the motor court arrangement where the garage is in front of the dwelling and it's accessed from the side. So there's not really any one character or rather distinct pattern of garages like we do have in other neighborhoods within the municipality. So I think given the variety of garage conditions that we have in the neighborhood, this won't be a significant departure. They're also front-loaded garages. So we have a couple on the south side of Westcott Road that also have kind of a similar condition where it's a 2-car garage that is loaded from the front. So I think given that fact, the appearance of the dwelling won't be a departure from what we have with respect to the character of other dwellings on the street. And in terms of any impairment of the intent of the standard, I think given the variety of garage conditions that we have here, this won't result in a substantial impairment to that intent. The house is set back a fair distance from the road, so it's going to kind of tend to lessen any visual impact that those neighborhood standards were designed to implement, the considerations, the design considerations. As far as the height to setback ratio for the garage addition, I think this one qualifies under C2 analysis, where purposes of zoning are promoted, or rather purposes of the municipal land use law are promoted, and the benefits outweigh the detriments. So the one purpose that I keyed in on here was purpose I, which is to promote a desirable visual environment. Previously, Bill had designed a garage, and what he had done was, in order to meet that height to setback ratio, he actually proposed to clip that gable end of the garage addition so that we could comply. You can imagine that, clipping one gable on this house, if you look at all the roof lines from the plans, would tend to look a little bit out of character with, really the aesthetic of the dwelling. So I think here, by not clipping the gable and maintaining that roof structure, it provides better consistency with the rest of the existing roof lines that are proposed, that are there, and also the one that's proposed. So I think there's a visual benefit. It just makes the entire dwelling a little more consistent in appearance. So I think that's a visual benefit there. The other thing, when we look at the negative criteria here, as was depicted on the architectural plans, this departure, it's a very small piece of the garage roof that is within that required height to setback ratio. So I think there won't be any substantial impact to surrounding properties. In this case, the dwelling is proposed to be fairly far from the side yard. and the intrusion is relatively minor, I would say de minimis in nature. And I don't think there'll be any substantial impairment to the intent, given the fact that this is, again, a de minimis departure. And I think the visual benefits here that we achieve maintaining consistency far outweigh any potential detriments from that departure.
Great. Thank you very much. Very thoroughly stated.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman?
I have no question. Do any of the board members have any questions of Mr. Kyle? No? All right, keep going.
No, we have nothing further to add, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. Okay, do you want to say anything before well, I'll ask the board if any of the board members have any questions of any of the witnesses right now. Okay. Mr. Rodolphe, before we go to the public comment section, do you want to say anything?
No, I think we'll quit while we're ahead, Mr. Chairman.
I'm not sure you're ahead, but you can quit. Good choice. All right, let's go to the public. Is there anyone, Claudia, who identified themselves as wanting to speak to this application?
No, sir, no one.
No one. Okay, well, hearing none, we'll close the public portion. Once again, before we go into executive session, Mr. Rodolphe, do you want to quit while you're ahead, or do you want to?
Well, with that invitation, I just think this is a great opportunity, not only for my applicants, but for the neighborhood. This house, and with all due respect to my clients, this house needs a lot of work, but it's got great bones, and they're willing to make the substantial financial commitment and investment to bring this house up to modern living standards. I think Bill Giddings has done a fabulous job, and this was a real challenge. I find myself at times being a frustrated architect, and I think he did a masterful job of working within unusual confines, taking into account it's a very narrow lot to begin with in an old neighborhood. I think it's a tremendous improvement and will add great value to not only this house, but houses in the immediate area.
Okay. All right. Do any members of the board have any comments? Or would someone like to make a motion?
I'll just make the comment that I like the design. I like the garage on the side, like double garage. I like the way the house is situated on the lot, or will be situated on a lot, in a kind of uniform manner from both sides. I don't think the garage being back not as far as it should be is a big deal, because the existing sunroom or playroom is already there. I do have one question. The picture we saw didn't have any shutters, but I saw in the drawings you're going to put shutters. Were there original shutters on the house?
Yeah, we have original shutters, and we took them off and we stripped the paint all the way down, and they're sitting in the garage fully painted, ready to go. But we didn't want to do that until we had the scope of work complete and just did it all at once. But we miss our shutters, and we look forward to putting them back.
Thank you. I have no further questions.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions or motions?
I think it's a sensitive solution, and I move to approve it.
Thank you.
Second.
Thank you. Claudia?
Wilson? Wilson?
Yes, sorry.
Davids?
Yes.
Roy?
Yes.
Shriver?
Yes.
Tannenbaum?
Yeah.
Ken?
Yes.
Cohen?
Did you call me?
Yes, sir.
Okay. I'd just like to add, by the way, that I think the architect did a very nice job on the house. I used to live a block away from this, and I know the house, and I think it's very nice, and I think nice design, and I think the client had a good vision here with you. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you very much,
Thank
everybody.
you all. See you
welcome.
soon.
Have a good
Take
night.
care. Okay. Okay, thank you. All right. It looks like that is it for the night. So our next hearing will be April 28th. So thank you all